A brighter day, everyone. Thank you for attending this today's Fund in Focus session. So for today, our topic will be index funds investing made affordable for beginners. I am Lucy Cuenca, and I am Slamsy's Business Development Officer, handling the broker and alternative channels. I'm also a certified investment solicitor with SEC. So for today, I will be your host and your presenter. And before I open the session, allow me to introduce our company. We are Sun Life Asset Management Company, or SLAMC, and we are a wholly owned subsidiary of Sun Life of Canada, Philippines. And as the investment arm of Sun Life in the Philippines, we are committed to be every Filipino's partner in their pursuit of prosperity. SLAMC has been advocating financial prosperity for 22 years already, and we are managing around 118.8 billion of assets from our growing client base of over 180,000. Currently, we are managing 16 Sun Life Prosperity Funds. And in terms of AUM, SLAMC is currently the #1 non-bank affiliated asset management company in the Philippines. SLAMC's fund suite completes the risk spectrum from conservative, like the peso starter. For moderate, we have the bond and the GS fund. For balanced risk profile, we have the balanced and achiever funds. And for aggressive investors, we have the equity and index funds. The same goes for the dollar suite. We have conservative fund like the dollar starter. We have for moderate risk like dollar abundance. For balance, we have our wellspring. And for growth, we have the advantage fund and the world voyager fund. With all these investment products available, not just with SLAMC, but also from other providers, no? Choosing where to put your money may seem daunting, not only for a first-time investor, but also for the experienced ones. So let's take a look at some of our client personas. Let's take, for example, this client. This is Mateo. So Mateo wants to start directly trading in stocks. He wants his portfolio to include stocks of the Philippines' biggest companies, no? The ones that you see here. Mateo would like to be invested in SM Prime, in Jollibee, in Ayala, MegaWorld, BPI, and the others. So taking a closer look to Mateo's profile as an investor, he is 24 years old. He has less than 1 year of experience in investing. So currently, he's invested only in money market funds. He also prefers an affordable way to invest in the PSEI. And Mateo wants to directly trade stocks, but the challenge is he has no time to monitor his portfolio. And for his investment goal, he wants to dedicate his investment for his retirement. So that's our first client, Mateo. The next one is Judy. Judy, on the other hand, wants to inject global stocks to her portfolio. So she wants to be invested in these companies which she uses on a daily basis, like Facebook, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Nestle, Toyota, Samsung, and other top global companies. And unlike Mateo, Judy is already an experienced investor. She has investments in local stocks and mutual funds. So this time, she really just wants to diversify globally, but she has no international broker. Judy, no, just like most of us, is a peso earner. So that's the challenge for her. She wants to diversify globally, but she has no international broker, and she's a peso earner, no? She has no dollars to invest in global funds. Judy is already 40 years old and she is investing for her 5-year-old son's college fund. And we have this last client. He's Piolo. He's 35 years old. So Piolo's goal is a bit different from Judy and Mateo's goals. So Piolo is not really a fan of equities, but his goal is to be able to beat inflation, no? Because he's feeling the rising cost of goods and services, from the gas that he buys every day, from the fuel of his car, the cost of his meals, and groceries for his family. So he's feeling the impact of inflation on a daily basis. And Piolo wants to keep up and recalibrate his portfolio to outpace inflation. Looking into his profile, he is 35 years old. He has time deposit accounts, investments in money market fund, and since Piolo wants consistent income through dividends, he is also invested in REITs. He is a breadwinner, and that is mainly the reason why he's feeling the impact of inflation, because he's the one in charge to provide the daily needs of his family. And that is why he wants to invest to beat inflation. But also, Piolo wants to preserve his capital in investments rather than earn high returns. So we have these 3 client personas we mentioned: Mateo, Judy, and Piolo. So let me ask our audience, please type in the chat box if you can relate to one of these client personas. If yes, please type yes, no? And the client persona, kung kanino ka nakaka-relate. If none, please share your unique financial needs. Okay, we're starting to get here answers, no? Wow, so a lot are saying that they can relate to Piolo. So maybe you're also starting to feel the impact of inflation, no? And you want to invest in order to outpace inflation. And some here, no, yung mga ladies can relate to Julie. Maybe you're a mother, no, who is investing for the education fund of your children. Okay, we have here a lot of answers. Thank you so much for participating. So here in Slamsi, of course, we want to help our clients address their investing needs through our funds. And for clients like Mateo, Judy, and Piolo, our recommendation is for you to consider including index funds in your portfolio. And that is our fund feature for today. We'll be talking about 2 of Slamsi's index funds. So for beginner investors out there, let me start by introducing the basic term index. So in finance and investing, there are different kinds of indices. You have indices for bonds. You also have indices for equities. And you might be familiar with the most common stock index that we have here locally. That is the Philippine Stock Exchange Index. So basically, an index is an indicator or a measure of something. And in the case of financial markets, stock and bond market indices consist of a portfolio of securities representing a particular market or a segment of it. And here in Slamsi, we have index funds. So what is an index fund? It is a type of mutual fund with a portfolio constructed to match or track the components of a financial market index. From that definition, the keywords are match or track, meaning the index fund should mirror or mimic the performance of its benchmark or index. So here in Sun Life, we have these two index funds. The Sun Life Prosperity Philippine Stock Index Fund, which is invested in local stocks, and the Sun Life Prosperity World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or as we call it, WAFE, which is invested in global stocks. And these are the products that we are recommending to clients Mateo, Judy, and Piolo to consider based on their investing needs. First, let's tackle the Sun Life Prosperity Philippine Stock Index Fund. Its benchmark, or the index that it tracks, is the Philippine Stock Exchange Index, or the PSEI. The PSEI consists of the 30 largest Philippine companies, and it is the standard measure of the performance of the local stock market. So you can see the information on the companies traded in our local stock market in the PSE website. No? So currently, there are about 300 companies of different industries traded in the PSE. But in the index, in the PSEI, there are only 30 companies that are carefully selected to represent the general movement of the Philippine stock market. That is why the index is very important, as it is a headline number of only which the top companies met a specific set of criteria can be included. No? So we mentioned about Mateo kanina, and he wants exposure to these top companies. And those top companies are present here in the PSEI. Looking into the PSEI, we can see here Ayala, BDO, Jollibee, SM, which client Mateo wants to invest in. And so the index represents the general movement of the stock market. It also typically reflects the investor sentiment on the state of the economy. And many investment products like mutual funds use this as a benchmark. So in the case of the Philippine Stock Index Fund of Sun Life, this is also our benchmark, the PSEI. So this fund aims to track the performance of the PSEI. So it is invested in the 30 blue chip companies which compose this index. So for those investors with an investment objective of generating long-term capital growth by mirroring the performance of the PSEI, so this fund is suitable for you. I am showing here the fund fact sheet of the Philippine Stock Index Fund. This one is uploaded in our website in www.sunlifefunds.com, and this is updated monthly. So as shown here in the top equity holdings, you can also see here the names which are on the PSEI. So this fund is passively managed. It is merely an index tracker, and that means that the fund manager doesn't have any active calls into it. No? The objective of this fund is again to mirror, mimic, and track the performance of the PSEI. So whatever the performance of the PSEI, that is also the expected performance of this fund. So for beginner investors like Mateo who would like to start riding the PSEI, no, starting to feel the market, but is challenged to allocate time to directly trade into stocks, just like Mateo, this fund is popular for those types of clients. It also has a minimum initial investment amount of just 1,000 pesos. That is why this fund is really popular for clients like Mateo. Now for our second fund recommendation, this is our global fund, the Sun Life Prosperity World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or WAFE, and this is invested in global stocks. If the Philippine Stock Index Fund mimics the performance of the PSEI, or local stock market index, this global fund, WAFE, it mimics the performance of the MSCI All Country World Index. So here I am showing a map of where we can find the stocks of the MSCI ACWI. And as you can see, it is really globally diversified, no? There is really a large investable universe outside our local stock market. You can see here that United States is more than half of the MSCI ACWI. It is followed by United Kingdom, Japan, China, and the others, no? In fact, in the MSCI ACWI, in this index, Philippines only has a weight of less than 1%. So this index, the MSCI ACWI, covers more than 2,400 securities across more than 40 country indices, of which approximately half are developed and half are emerging markets. So in short, the MSCI ACWI is an index designed to provide a broad measure of the equity market performance throughout the world, no? And through MSCI ACWI, you will have a diversified exposure to other investable countries. So I would just like to highlight again, no? If PSEI is invested in 30 companies, MSCI, on the other hand, is exposed to more than 2,400 securities. So investing in the MSCI ACWI would really diversify your money into that much number of securities across 40 countries. So speaking of these companies where the index is invested in, here you would see some of the companies that comprise the MSCI ACWI. That is why we call WAVE as a basket of all stars, no? Because these companies that you see here are no stranger to all of us. And in fact, in your day-to-day life, you use most of the products and services of these companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Shell, Unilever, no? And WAVE is also indirectly exposed to the Philippines, no? Invested in siya in SM Prime, Jollibee, Ayala, and some of our companies listed in the PSEI. So this is just a few of those companies because again, MSCI ACWI comprised of more than 2,400 securities. And looking back into client Judy's investing needs, no, if you remember, she mentioned that she wants exposure to these companies. She wants to start diversifying globally. And WAVE definitely addresses her needs. But what about her being challenged, no, that she's a peso earner and she just has her peso to invest, no, wala siyang dollars. WAVE also solves that problem because WAVE is peso denominated. That means this fund is really your ticket to global markets because it will give you access to the global equities market while allowing you to invest your Philippine peso. So no need to exchange your peso into dollars. And I'm showing here again the fund fact sheet of WAVE. And you'll see here the top 10 holdings, no? The top 10 companies with the heaviest weight, no, in the MSCI ACWI. And in terms of sector allocation, you'll see how well diversified this fund is in terms of sector. For instance, it is invested in information technology, around 20.74% of the fund, and also in healthcare at around 12.94%. And these two sectors are not available here locally in the Philippines. So aside from giving you access to other equities market outside the Philippines, it also diversifies your investment in sectors that are also unavailable locally here in our PSEI. So now that I've discussed the features of our two fund recommendations, the Philippine Stock Index Fund and the World Equity Index Feeder Fund, or WAFE, I'm sure you have a lot of questions why these are our recommendations based on the client's needs of Mateo, Judy, and Piolo. And you might also be asking, paano ba dapat ang approach sa investment sa funds na to depending sa financial requirement and investing needs ko? So I have invited here my colleague, Suki na siya ng Fund in Focus sessions natin. And for this morning, tutulungan niya tayo maintindihan paano ba maa-address ng index fund and WAFE yung pangangailangan when it comes to investing ni Mateo, Judy, and Piolo. So good morning, Angel. Thank you again for gracing us with your presence this morning.
Hi, good morning, Lucy, and good morning to our more than 50 participants this morning. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday today, Wednesday
Yes.
morning with us, and giving time to understand and learn how to position index funds in your portfolio. It's very exciting. We have a mix of audience this morning, Lucy. Nakita ko kanina sa chat. Merong nakaka-relate kay Mateo, may nakaka-relate kay Judy, and may nakaka-relate kay Piolo, no? Pero siguro yung audience natin in-expect na andito yung tatlong personas na yon, no? Pero unfortunately, ako po ang makikita niya for the rest of this morning's event, no? So again, thank you so much, Lucy, for inviting me, and thank you everyone for spending time. Yes. Okay, Lucy, let's go. So, kanina minention mo yung investor profile ni Mateo, no? So, who is Mateo? We said that he has less than 1 year experience in investing, and he has already started investing in money market funds, no? He also prefers affordable way. This is very important, no? Kasi later on I will discuss that further. But Mateo really wants to have an affordable way to invest in the index, and he wants to trade stocks but doesn't have the time to monitor his portfolio. I think a lot of us can really relate to Mateo dahil as we all know naman, the market is open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So, between those hours, those time, ang daming pwedeng mangyari sa market, 'di ba? But if we really cannot devote our time to monitor the market, then the index fund or an index fund could really suit you, no? Why is index fund best for a persona or an investor profile like Mateo? So can you click on click on all na lang, Lucy, so I can discuss that, no? So okay, so index fund is as we say, it's very beginner friendly because it simply tracks the performance of the PSEI, or the Philippine Stock Exchange Index. So if you happen to visit the PSEI website, which is www.pse.com.ph, you would see there that on a day-to-day basis, the index moves, no? Whether it's up or down. I think right now, we're a bit flattish, no? Kapag flattish, ibig sabihin walang masyadong movement. So the index fund simply mirrors the movement of our PSEI. So it's very beginner-friendly because there are no much active calls. There are no much explanation, no, on how the fund or how the market is moving. Second is, since Mateo wants an affordable way to invest in the PSEI, index fund is a good option because it only asks you for 1,000 pesos to start investing. So just a trivia, if you really want to invest in the stock market and in the Philippine stocks, you have about 30 companies in the PSEI. And kung gusto mong mag-invest doon sa lahat ng 30 funds na yon, you would probably need 100,000, no? Just to be able to to invest no in those 30 companies. But reality tells us that not everyone, especially with this investor profile, not every one of us has that amount of money. No, so uh, one beauty of a mutual fund that tracks the index is it gives you the ability to indirectly invest in these companies with a lower minimum amount. So for this, in our case, in Sun Life Prosperity Index Funds case, it's only 1,000 pesos. And with your 1,000 pesos, indirectly, nakaka-invest ka na dun sa top 30 companies of our country. Third, Mateo wants to directly trade stocks but has no time to monitor his portfolio. So as I've said, many of us can relate to that because probably some of us meron tayong regular work or we have responsibilities no to address. But this fund, despite being passively managed, when we say kasi passively managed, it's just di ba? It's just mirroring an index. But despite the fact that it is passively managed fund, you still have investment team, as what we call traders, seasoned traders and fund managers who monitors your portfolio. No, they do the trading for you. Hindi mo na kailangan na mag-click-click or hindi mo kailangan mag-monitor ng stock prices because you have seasoned professionals to do that for you, no? And lastly, si Mateo is investing for his retirement fund. This is a very nice characteristic of Mateo, no? And I hope a lot of us can also adapt to that. Kasi 24 years old pa lang siya, but as young as he is, he's already thinking of his retirement fund. So, having said that Mateo is only 24 years old, he has so much years ahead of him no before he reached his retirement year. So that means meron din siyang long-term time horizon. And index fund is perfect for that because index is really suitable for long-term investing and could complement your long-term goals. So later on we will expound on that. But there no, it's really made for your long-term investment goals.
I agree, Angel, no? Same with Mateo, tayo lahat naman, no? Once we were in that getting started stage pa, we were so busy building our career. So, nasa-set aside natin yung investing journey natin kasi hindi natin matutukan, hindi natin ma-manage. So, for that requirement, no, the Philippine Stock Index Fund can definitely serve Mateo's investing needs. So, how about for our second client, Angel, si Judy, no? What can you recommend her?
Okay, so sige. So actually si Judy, sa kanya ako mas nakaka-relate, no. Hindi pa naman po ako 40 years old, but I have a daughter also na currently nagpe-prepare din ako for her college fund, no. And I can relate to her because she's an experienced investor. She already has an investment in the local stock market. But she wants naman to diversify. She wants to start diversifying globally. However, she is a peso earner. So for this investor profile and for our audience who can relate to Judy, our recommendation for you is to start diversifying globally. And how do you do that is by starting to invest or consider investing in the World Equity Index Feeder Fund. So, Lucy, can you please show the check buttons? Okay. So, why do we recommend World Equity Index Feeder Fund for an investor profile like Judy? So, again, you see, Lucy kanina discussed that the World Equity Index Feeder Fund or WAVE is invested in different regions, in different countries, and in different global companies. No, so automatically by investing in this fund, you will be able to gain global diversification already. So that is very timely at this time and age, no? Kasi kanina na-mention din ni Lucy kung saan to mga naka-invest. Sabi niya, naka-invest sa Google, naka-invest sa Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, and so on. And if you will just realize, these are already the brands, the products, the services that we use, no, in our day-to-day in our day-to-day life, no. So it's timely that globalization affects our daily lives, and so it's also right, no, to start also investing in these companies. So again, this fund can be your ticket to global markets. And what's nice about here, and I think a lot of you also can relate, is that you are peso earner like Judy, no? Marami sa atin, maraming Pilipino ang hindi dollar account holder or walang source of dollars, no? So like me, I work in a Philippine company, so my salary is in peso, but I want to invest in global funds, no? So through this fund, through Wave, I can already use my peso to start investing in global markets. And this fund has only a 10,000 pesos minimum investment. So just a trivia, no, and just to share para ma-appreciate din ng audience natin, Lucy. Before, when mutual funds are not yet allowed to invest in global stocks or in global markets, Filipinos had to open a brokerage account in a different country before they can be able to access global markets, no? So kung dati kung gusto ko mag-invest in regions like US and in Europe, I have to open a brokerage account in, let's say, Hong Kong or Singapore before ko ma-access yung mga global funds na gusto ko. And for me to do that, it will require me millions of pesos, no? Or kung ayaw mo naman mag-open ng brokerage account abroad, kailangan magpa-classify ka as qualified buyer, no? Qualified buyer, meaning to say, you also have to have at least 10 million pesos to be able to access these markets. But now that mutual funds can offer global markets at a more affordable amount, it complements investor profiles like Judy, who wants to diversify globally but only has peso and doesn't have naman that much money. So lastly, as Judy is also preparing for her son's college fund, and as we said naman that index funds are typically for long-term investment, it also suits that goal, no? Kasi it's really also for a long-term investing horizon.
Thank you for that, Angel. Gusto ko i-highlight, no, yung na-mention mo about affordability of Wave. So you can start investing in Wave for just 10,000 pesos. And again, no, it is your 10,000 pesos is already globally diversified into over 40 countries. So na-curious nga ako, no, while you were explaining, I searched for the stock prices, no, of those companies na gusto ni Judy, no, mag-invest, like Microsoft, Amazon, Meta or Facebook, and Alphabet or Google. So yung stock prices nila, no, medyo mataas na if you want to directly trade into their stocks. Like Microsoft is already priced in at $250, no. So that is why we would like you to appreciate the convenience, no, and the advantage of investing in Wave because of its affordability. For just 10,000 pesos, your investment will be diversified into over 2,000 securities. So for our next client, that is Piolo. What is your
Okay.
recommendation to Piolo, Angel?
Okay, so eto kanina dun sa chat box natin, Lucy, I think eto yung marami, no, majority of our audience can relate to Piolo. And I
Correct.
think nakarelate sila, Lucy, because I I would like to believe na lahat tayo, we can all feel the effects of inflation, no? Grabe, kapag pumunta ka sa grocery store or sa market, no, or sa public market, ang mahal na
Mm.
talaga ng mga bilihin. So, um si Piolo naman, uh what's unique to him is he is young, 35 years old, but he is conservative, 'di ba? Medyo conservative siya na kung titignan natin dito yung mga investments niya are in deposit accounts, money market fund, and REITs, no? REITs which has a steady dividend payout then, and it's also considered conservative investment. And I understand why he is conservative, no? Because he is a breadwinner. So siya talaga yung breadwinner of the family. So as much as possible, he wants to protect his money. He wants to protect his capital, but at the same time, he wants to beat inflation. Dahil nga ang mahal na ng bilihin, gusto niya protektahan yung purchasing value of his money. For an investor profile like this, despite being conservative, the index funds, whether local or global index funds, has they still have a place, no, in your portfolio. So can you okay, thank you, Lucy. So why is there still a place for these funds in your portfolio? Because these funds can still give your portfolio an opportunity to grow, no? Meron siyang mai-inject na growth in your total portfolio by having those kicker returns that you can get from the index funds, no? And historically, if we just look at how markets, international markets and our local market have performed, historically, they can really outpace inflation in the long term, no? So, siguro if we look at how our PSEI returned for, let's say, 10 years or 20, 15 years, I am sure that the total return of the index is much higher than the average inflation that we can experience. Especially now that inflation is very high. If you just keep your money in a bank account for the next 10 years, talagang liliit yung purchasing value of your money. So despite being conservative, have an open mind and allocate even a small portion of your portfolio into the local and global index fund. So later on, I will also share my recommendation how much of your portfolio, no, how much of your portfolio should be allocated into these funds.
Okay, thank you, Angel, for enlightening us on how this index funds can perform in the portfolio of these different client personas. And so the audience might be asking, tama ka, Angel, no? We might need to know, paano ba yung approach? Should we invest everything in this index funds if we are like Mateo? If like Piolo na conservative ako, no, pero gusto ko meron akong growth kicker, how much ba should be invested? So please help us understand, Angel, the asset allocation concept for types of funds like index funds.
Okay, so this is the more exciting part, and I hope our listeners, our audience can take note of our recommendation this morning, Lucy. Okay, so going back to Mateo, again, he is 24 years old. He has so many years ahead of him, no? So meaning he has a long-term time horizon. His risk appetite is aggressive, and his existing investments are regular savings account and money market fund. So let's imagine na ang current portfolio ni Mateo ay 50% nasa bank account and 50% in the money market fund. I would recommend Mateo to have this portfolio allocation, no? Ang isa-suggest ko kay Mateo, bawasan niya ang ang savings account niya from the bank and bawasan niya si money market fund and mag-invest siya ng 50% in the index fund, in the local index fund. So why is that? No, we have to understand that the regular savings account, your bank account, and money market fund are both short-term investments, no, and very conservative. So this can actually cover for your emergency funds. This can cover for your liquidity needs, no. But again, having said that, Mateo is aggressive, and Mateo is 24 years old and so has so much time ahead of him. He can allocate at least half of his portfolio into the Philippine or local index fund. So bakit local index fund? It's also because this is his first time to invest in equities, no? So for a beginner, yung mga nagsisimula pa lang na mag-invest in equities, we recommend to try first in our local market before going offshore, no? But then again, kung meron kayong profile like Mateo, if you are a beginner, you have so much time ahead of you, and you are young, that doesn't also stop you from investing globally later on, no? Ito yung recommendation natin, Lucy, is just for a beginner, no? Or someone who will be starting to invest in equities, no? And also, I want to highlight here, we don't recommend, especially for beginners, we don't recommend to put everything at one go, no? Yung 50% na yan na nire-recommend natin na ilagay sa index fund, we are not recommending clients to put that in lump sum, diba? So as I've mentioned nga kanina, this fund is very affordable, diba? 1,000 pesos lang ang minimum investment amount that you need to put in this fund. So you can actually make it in tranches. That 50%, invest that in tranches so that you can also do cost averaging, no? But at the end of the day, our recommendation is really to have a significant exposure to the index fund, to an equity fund, because of your profile that you are young and you have an aggressive risk appetite.
Okay, Angel. So we are recommending Mateo to allocate 50%, no, but in tranches. Okay, for our next client, si Judy.
Okay, so si Judy naman, 40 years old, long-term, and moderately aggressive. So right now, let's imagine her portfolio. She has 20% in bank, 25% in money market, 20% in bonds, and 35% in index funds. So kanina sabi natin, si Judy, she wants to start investing or diversifying globally, no? So since meron na rin siyang exposure to the local index, what we recommend, Judy, or any of you who has the same profile, is to have this portfolio. So click on the next, Lucy, please. So this is our recommendation, no? So I would recommend Judy to take out 10% from bank and 5% from her money market fund and invest 15% into the World Equity Index Feeder Fund. So as I've mentioned a while ago, dun sa previous slide natin, your bank and your money market fund, they are both short-term. They can actually cover for your liquidity needs and your emergency funds, no? So we can get a portion from those investment, so you can start to invest in global assets or in global stocks. And since meron ka na rin namang experience in investing in the local market, so somehow, I am assuming, no, somehow you know how stock markets move already, then you can be able to understand also how global markets move. And you can start, no, with 15%, putting 15% into global index funds such as the Wave.
Okay, Angel. So we have here a chat, no, from our audience. No, let's answer this question. Can you elaborate more on allocating in tranches, Angel?
Okay, so that's a good question, no? And siguro that's also one of the key takeaways that I want our listeners to to get from this session. It's really to invest in tranches. Meaning to say, kapag sinabi po nating invest in tranches, kung kunwari meron akong 100,000, hindi ko po siya i-invest ng isang beses lang. No? Hindi ko siya i-invest all in one go. Hahatiin ko yung 100,000 ko into 5 tens or 5 20s. Sorry, mali yung math ko. So 5 20s. So that would allow me to invest in the same fund for 5 different times. Why? Bakit natin hinahati? Bakit natin siya why are we doing it in tranches? It's because these funds, index funds, move up and down every single day. No? May volatility po itong fund na ito. So by doing it in tranches, you can buy shares at different prices. So pwedeng meron kang meron kang mabili na mas mahal, merong pwede kang mas mabiling mas mura, but on average, you can average out your cost, no? So hindi po tayo tali sa isang presyo lang, no? Na-average natin yung cost natin. And that could actually provide us a better chance of earning positive over the long term because we are able to average our cost of investment. So that is that is the meaning of investing in tranches. So going back to Judy, kahit na 15% lang yung nire-recommend natin kay Judy na ilagay sa World Equity Index Feeder Fund, we will also be recommending her to invest in tranches, no? That 15%, she can actually invest that into different days so she can be able to capture different prices.
Okay, Angel. So that's your recommendation for Judy. But what about for our next client, no, na medyo unique yung requirement niya? Conservative siya pero gusto niya ma-beat yung inflation.
Okay, so yan, si Piolo. Si Piolo, who is very conservative because he is a breadwinner and he wants to protect his capital, but at the same time, he wants to protect his money against inflation. So, let's see what his current portfolio is. So, let's imagine na ang portfolio niya ay 30% nasa bangko, 40% nasa money market fund, and 30% nasa REITs, no? REITs, which is a dividend-paying investment. So, what we will recommend Piolo is to have a portfolio like this, no? So, we will ask him or we will recommend him to even out his bank account, his money market fund, and REITs at 30%. And yung 10%, pwede natin yan hatiin to 5% local and 5% global index, no? So ito yung sinasabi ko, Lucy, na kahit conservative ka, kahit yung risk appetite mo is really not aggressive, you can still inject investments in index funds but at a lower percentage, no? Mas maliit lang yung exposure natin, but our portfolio still consists exposure to the local index and to the global index. Again, in a lower degree, no. In this case, take 5% lang. Because as Piolo wants to provide, or as Piolo wants to protect his money against inflation, yung exposure niya ngayon sa mga index funds can provide kicker and can shield his money from losing its value, or protecting his money against inflation. So here in this kind of portfolio, ang goal natin is just really to protect the money, the value of your money, and not really for double digit returns, no. Hindi ganon, dahil conservative nga si Piolo eh. We don't want to introduce so much risk into his portfolio. So again, by having this minimal exposure to index funds, napoprotect natin yung value of your money.
Thank you, Angel. So even for those conservative investors, no, as explained by Angel, there is a place in your portfolio for stocks for funds like the Philippine Stock Index and Wave. So don't limit your portfolio to all conservative investments, no, because in that way, inflation will eat up your money. So Angel, why do we need to diversify? Why do we need to allocate just a specific portion of our portfolio into these types of risk assets? Can you further enlighten us on this?
Okay, so if we go to the next slide, as I've mentioned, Lucy, a number of times this morning, no, regardless of your risk profile, index equity funds such as index fund and Wave can still complement your portfolio as long as you are a long-term investor, or at least as long as you have a long-term horizon. So why no? Bakit kahit conservative ako, pwede sa akin ang equity fund? It's because the chart I'm showing here is the performance of the PSEI, or the Philippine Stock Exchange Index, from 2020 to 2021. So as you can see here, ito po yung sinasabi ko na may volatility ang investment na ito. Price po ito ng index natin, or level ng index natin. So as you can see here, every day, it really goes up and down, up and down. It's not a straight line. So pwedeng ngayon mataas ang value ng pera mo, bukas bumaba, the next day tataas ulit. It can behave like that, no? But if we will zoom out, if we will just look at how the PSEI performed from 2020 to present, it will always show that there are pockets of opportunities to gain good returns, no? So I can really attest to that because I've been invested in the fund since the early 2010s, and from 2010 to present, naka-gain din naman ako ng decent returns. And there were a lot of opportunities really to generate good returns, no? So on a long-term basis, again, as I always say, no, as long as you have a long-term time horizon, you can really get a high chance of getting good returns or positive returns in the index fund or in the equity fund. And that's also same for the global equity funds or global index fund, or such as Wave, no? So I know that recently, no, we've been hearing a lot of economic and political noises around the world. So siguro kung nanonood kayo ng balita, you would always say, or you would always hear that there is an inflation problem in the US. There is that risk of global recession, and siguro naririnig nyo din yung aggressive interest rate hikes of central banks across the globe, no? And these are actually noises that could affect the performance of of global equity markets. But what we need to understand as investors and as someone who wants to put money into global equity markets, what we need to understand is that these noises, this this political and economical noises that we hear are all natural part of an economic cycle, no? So normal po 'yan, normal na nagkakaroon ng mga ganitong noises in the market. But as long as we are looking on a long-term basis, as long as we are long-term investors, we can actually look at these scenarios as opportunity, no? Just to share also with you, historically, global markets spend 1/3 of its time at a bottom or at a bear market, no? Kahit I know it's very hard, it's painful, it's fearful to see negative returns, but what we need to understand it's normal, and historically 1/3 of the time lang po nasa baba ang market, no? Most of its time it's trading at an all-time high or near at its all-time high. So seeing these reds in the market can actually present opportunities for us long-term investors to get in right now, no? And this table that I'm showing is very interesting, no? This is the total return of global markets since 1999. So sabi ko nga kanina, no, as long as we have that long-term view, long-time horizon, yung market can always give you a good chance of having a total return that is positive. Very interesting in this table, 2021 and 2022 lang negative yung market, no? All the rest since 1999 positive siya. So again, having that long-term horizon can actually give you better chance of getting good returns. So okay, so I think I am down to my last few slides, Lucy. So this is also to answer the question, what does it mean to invest in tranches, no? So here I'm showing again the level or the index level, no, of our Philippine Stock Exchange Index from 2021. This is April 2021. So ito po yung sinasabi ko nga na hindi straight line ang index natin, no. It moves up and down. But by doing cost averaging, meaning investing in different times, in different prices, it can actually give you a strategy that can help you lower the amount you pay for investments, and it also minimizes your risk and can give you a better chance for a positive long-term returns. Kasi again, equities can be volatile, but if you can do cost averaging, then you can average out your cost and you can minimize your risk. Okay? So, these are actually some of the considerations, no? If I may share with you, of course, before you do that investment, before you start investing into equities, there will be a lot of considerations that you have to take, and these are just 3 of them, no? First is what is your time horizon? So as I've mentioned, investments in equity funds such as index fund is really for long-term time horizon. So ask yourself, no, if you are investing for a long term, hindi mo ba gagamitin yung pera next month or 6 months from now? Have that long-term mindset, because this investment is really for pangmatagalan, no? And you also need to accept you should be able to accept the high levels of volatility. Kanina pinakita ko kung how the markets behave. It's really going up and down. It's going on cycles. As long as you have that tolerance to see your your investment fluctuates, then you should be fine, no, investing into index funds. And lastly, you can set that money, that investment, the money that you are investing in this fund for a long term. Kasi nga, sabi natin, ang investment for index and wave are for long term time horizon, no. So make sure first that you have money, you have emergency cash to cover for your short term needs before you allocate into the index fund and wave, no. It's really for your long-term goals. So those are the three considerations, Lucy, that I would like
Mhm.
to share to our audience.
Mhm. So, Angel, before you end, no, I remember in our last Fund and Focus sessions, you shared some best practices, some tips, no, on how we can stick to our investing journey. Kasi of course, madali, no, I mean, mahirap sa simula, no, pero mas mahirap mag-stick sa habit. So please share with us again those best practices.
Okay, so best practices, first is to automate it. No? So sabi mo nga, Lucy, madali sa umpisa, pero mahirap siyang i-sustain. No? But the best way to sustain it and to make it a habit is to automate it. So I am encouraging our listeners to explore our scheduled bills payment facility, and as much as possible enroll in that facility para ma-automate mo na yung investing and you can start making it a habit, no. Hindi mo na kailangang isipin, it's already automated in your bank account, no. So first is really to automate it, build a habit of investing, and second is to name your investment. Name it, no. Because in Sun Life, again, we advocate goal-based investing, no. So in the app, in the Sun Life app, you can actually rename your investment, no. So this is actually my client portal, or a screenshot of my client portal. And here you could see here Vanya Education. Yan yung ang name ng aking baby, and that investment is particularly for her education, no. So it's also creating that mindset na okay, hindi ko siya pwedeng galawin kasi para sa education siya ng anak ko. So name it and stick to it, no. Kung ano yung goal mo for that investment, stick to it para you also create that mindset of your goal based investing. So those are the two tips, Lucy.
Thanks
Automate
so
and name it.
much, Angel, for those tips. So to our audience, please take note of those two tips. Now, automate it and name it. So thank you, Angel, for that very insightful presentation. So we'll see you again later for our Q&A. So before we end our presentation, I would just like to share here the fund performance of the Sun Life Prosperity Philippines Stock Index Fund and the World Equity Index Feeder Fund. So you might think, looking into the performance, that the market is currently struggling. And if you remember Angel's previous slides kanina, she has shown that the market has behaved in cycles, no? The market does not perform consistently. It has its ups and downs. And given this current scenario, where we see that the market is currently struggling, we want you to take a look at this as an opportunity for you to enter at current market levels, because as Angel has shown in the slide, specifically in the MSCI ACWI during global market crisis, stocks often weather the storm. And instead of thinking how bad the market is doing, investors can think of the market as being significantly less expensive, Parang naka-sale. So take this current market scenario as an opportunity for you to enter at lower levels. So for this famous investors, for these people that you see here in my slide, they have made key investments during market downturns, because historically market downturns have presented bargains for investors and thanks to inefficient pricing and fear in the market. So instead of falling victim to the psychology of the market cycle, instead of fearing the market, investors can look to investments that may be currently underpriced. So I am leaving these tips to you before we go to our Q&A. First, you have to diversify. So minimize downside risk by having investments across different asset classes. So this was mentioned by Angel a while ago. No? Do not put all your eggs in just one basket. Second is regular investing. As Angel suggested, you have to automate it. No? You have to cost average at different prices because this can give you higher chances of positive long-term returns. And lastly, you have to think long-term because volatility over the short term can be high, but staying invested for 5 to 10 years can minimize your risk and can give you better chances of positive long-term returns. So now, let's go to learning check. Let's see how well our audience has understood our presentation for today. So please key in your answers in the poll questions that will be shown in my presentation. So for the first question, what is Sun Life's PSE Index Tracker Fund? This fund is passively managed and expected to mirror the performance of the PSEI. Please key in your answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the correct answer is Philippine Stock Index Fund. So most of you got it correct. Very good. For our next learning check question, what is the benchmark of the Sun Life Prosperity World Equity Index Feeder Fund or WAFE? Key in your answers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. The correct answer is MSCI All Country World Index. And for our last question, is this statement true or false? It is recommended that I invest all my money in the stock index fund if I am an aggressive investor. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so of course, this statement is false. You always have to consider diversifying your investments. Okay, so just some key takeaways. Again, we have featured two of our index funds for this morning. The Philippine Stock Index Fund, which mirrors the performance of the PSEI, and the minimum initial and additional investment for this fund is just 1,000 pesos. And our second fund featured for today is the World Equity Index Feeder Fund. This is a peso-denominated global fund which will expose your portfolio to the top global companies. The minimum initial investment for WAFE is just 10,000 pesos and minimum additional investment of 1,000 pesos. Okay, so for you to know how to invest using our MFP app, please watch this video.
Want to start investing in the Sun Life Prosperity Funds? It takes only a few steps. Go to www.sunlifefunds.com to know the different types of mutual funds available. When you find the mutual fund that fits you best, click Buy Now. Accomplish the online application page. Upload a clear photo of a valid government ID with signature. Read the terms and conditions. Click Agree to accept. Review your order details. Select the mode of payment. That's it. Easy, right? A confirmation of your subscription will be sent via SMS or email. Congratulations! You're now officially a Sun Life Prosperity Funds investor.
So indeed, investing using the MFE app is as easy as 1, 2, 3. So please visit www.sunlifefunds.com to open an account online. And we would like to invite you to our upcoming events. We have the next Bright Talk session on Friday, that's October 28th, Calm Minds, Volatile Markets. So if you're anxious about the ups and downs in the financial markets, please join us on this webinar and register through this link. And if you need brushing up on the basics of saving and investing, as well as the mutual fund concept, please attend our next Mutual Funds 101 webinar on November 9. Register through the link displayed here. So now we are in the Q&A session. Angel, may we invite you to join us here to answer questions from our audience. So madami tayong na-receive na questions, no? And
Yes.
we would like to take this first question. So the question is, you're saying that index fund is for long term. When we say long-term goal for index, what is the minimum year to consider long term? Angel, please take this question.
Okay. So, textbook answer, Lucy, is long term is supposed to be about 10 to 10 years, no, investing horizon. So that's the simple answer. 5 to 10 years is already considered long term. But then again, as I've shown a while ago, markets can really behave in cycles, no. So as long as you have that as long as you don't need the money for the next 6 months or for at least for the next year, you can already consider investing in equity funds such as index funds, no. But again, the textbook answer here is really 5 to 10 years is considered long term.
All right, thank you, Angel. So let's take again another question. Hello, please give us some beginner tips based on your PSEI average plot from 2020 to 2021. When is the right time to invest? So let's answer that first question muna, no? For this one, I would like to highlight the basic investing rule, no? Buy low, sell high. Although we do not know, no, lahat naman tayo hindi natin alam anong mangyayari sa market, it's really not proper, no, to time the market. But personally, what I can recommend is for this client, for this investor to enter at the current levels, no? Because in SLAMC, di ba, Angel, no, we had this study na since na-establish pala si PSEI, there are only 6 times wherein the PSEI level was below 6,000, no? And upon checking, nandun pa tayo sa 6,000 level. So maybe, no, we can say that currently it might be the right time to invest kasi naka-sale pa yung market, no? Right, Angel?
Just wanted to correct that, Lucy, no? The 6 times that the market traded below 6,000 was from starting 2013.
All right, from 2013.
Before 2013 kasi, our index level was below 6,000. But when it traded 6,000 in 2013, so meaning 2013 to present, there were only 6 times when the market traded below 6,000 level. So being at this level, again, rather than being pessimistic
Mhm.
about it, as
Mhm.
long as we have that long-term time horizon and
Mhm.
long-term mindset, we can actually look at this as an opportunity really to get
Correct.
in.
Correct. Mhm. So yes, to this client, Angel and I would recommend that you start entering during this time. And for another question, what percentage is to be allotted on stocks and how much on bonds? So I guess this would really depend no, on your investor profile. Much like the practice na ginawa natin kanina, no, if you are conservative, maybe just a bit, no, around 10 to 20% of your portfolio in equity-laced funds. If you're like Mateo naman, if you're a beginner investor and you have so much time ahead of you, so maybe you can allocate more into your portfolio. And Angel, let's take this another question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a lot of questions pala, no? I can invest in Slamsy, but is the withdrawal as easy as in savings account in a bank?
Okay, so this is a good question because this is very informative, no, for everyone who is listening. Withdrawing kasi from banks, ang madali siya eh kasi may ATM ka, 'di ba? So it's very convenient to just go to an ATM and withdraw your cash. Here in Slamsy, if you have money in the money market fund, you have to file for a redemption. No, you have to file. But the beauty of it, kapag na-file mo yung redemption mo, the following day, you get the money already.
Mm-hmm.
So, another thing to look at it is, yes, mabilis kuhanin yung pera sa bangko, but that also means ang dali mong hugutin ng pera mo. 'Di ba?
Mhm.
Very convenient, very easy for you to, kapag may nakita kang sale sa mall, and alam mo na may pera ka sa ATM, it's very easy for you to just withdraw the money and give in to that temptation of buying that item.
Mhm.
Money market, while it is very liquid because you can get your money a day after your redemption,
Mhm.
it also creates that habit or behavior na it's still an investment. Diba? It's still an investment. It's not a liquid, it's not your cash. No, it's not an easy out of pocket cash.
Mhm.
But yes, it's to answer the question, yes, it's easy to withdraw your money market because just file for redemption and then the
Mhm.
following day you will already get your proceeds.
Mhm. All right. So thanks for that, Angel. Maybe let's take one to two questions, so given our remaining time. For the next question, is it a right action to place an investment in a high risk fund such as index or in a conservative risk fund, no, if the goal is college education plan? So Angel have explained this a while ago, no, with client persona Judy. So can you answer this question, Angel?
Okay. So it will really depend on your time horizon because several times that I've mentioned that investment in index fund, in the local index fund and in Wave are
Mhm.
really for long-term time horizon, no? So kung yung college plan na pinaghahandaan mo is for your child who is 10 years old or younger, no, then it's better to put your college educational plan in this type of investment.
Mhm.
But because you still have several years no before mag-college yung anak
Mhm.
mo. Pero let's say yung anak mo is grade 11 na, and in just a matter of year or 2 years, your child will be entering college already. For that scenario, I will not recommend to build your educational plan in the index fund
Mhm.
because again it can fluctuate eh. So baka lang hindi mo na hindi baka magkaroon ka lang ng negative hit doon sa iyong investment, and it could affect your child's education, no. But
Mhm.
then again, if
Mhm.
you have if you still have years ahead before your child enters college, then I would still recommend the index fund.
All right. Thank you for answering that, Angel. And for our last question, before we end this webinar, we'll take this question. If you have 100,000 right now, where will you invest it? So, sige, I'll take this question muna, no? So, I'm not biased, no, but I would be investing my 100,000 in the Philippine Stock Index, but I will put, sorry, not 100,000, 80,000 in the Philippine Stock Index and 20,000 in Wave, no, because I'm believing, no, that for next year maybe the recovery story will really happen for the Philippines, and so I'm putting 80% of my 100,000 in the local stock market. How about you, Angel?
If I have 100,000 right now, and I hope our listeners also consider this, no, kahit siguro hindi 100,000, but we all know that 13-month bonus or the Christmas bonus is just around the corner. Anytime siguro a lot of you will already receive your Christmas bonus. So consider these two funds, no? Consider these two funds especially for your long-term goals. But kung ako yon, kung meron akong 100,000 ngayon, considering my age, my time horizon, and my life goals, I will invest in both in the World Equity Index Feeder Fund and in the Philippine Local Index. Because I believe, no, personally, I believe kasi na this is a good time to enter the market. I'm not also being biased here. I don't want, this is also not, hard selling. But personally, kasi I see this market levels as an opportunity really to top up in my investment. So siguro on allocation, I will allocate 70% into Wave, no, yung global index natin, and 30% into our local index.
All right, Angel. So magkaiba kami ni Angel, no? Mas malaki yung allocation niya sa global, and sa akin naman mas malaki yung allocation ko sa local. So it really depends again on your investor profile, no?
And it also depends, Lucy, on your current portfolio. Kasi
correct.
kung malaki na rin yung allocation ko on the local index, then it's also proper to beef up my allocation naman in global. So it really depends on your time horizon and your current portfolio.
All right. So thank you, Angel, for answering our attendees' questions, and thank you everyone for participating in the Q&A. So thanks again, Angel. See you on our next Fund in Focus session, Angel. So,
thank you, Lucy.
Thank you. So before we end this session, I would like to leave these thoughts to all of you. So for you to achieve your brighter life, first, of course, you need to have a goal. You need to commit to start, and please make investing a habit. So for more information and updates, please visit www.sunlifefunds.com, and please follow and like our official Facebook page, that's Sun Life Philippines, and please email us at slancy.ekyc@sunlife.com. And a short evaluation form will open when you exit the session. We hope you may answer it because your feedback is very important to us. So again, thank you everyone for attending this Fund in Focus session featuring our index funds, the Philippine Stock Index Fund and World Equity Index Feeder Fund. Have a brighter day, everyone. Thank you.